Good evening, everyone. I'm Rob Williams. I want to give a disclaimer before I read this, mostly because I know this is a very sensitive subject, and this is something that has a tendency to do a lot of dividing, especially in an academic setting, but also on a personal level. I'm not finished with the paper. I have a lot of fine tuning, um, but I titled the work, I Never Thought of It That Way: Abortion and the Dividing of America. Abortion. The mere mention of it touches the very fabric of our society. It divides. It breeds anger and hostility that not only threatens our civility and our rational thought, but also challenges our personal views on the public stage. Like much of the political spectrum that has polarized our country, this single, solitary debate continues to shape and impact our society. Why does this topic provoke passionate debate within our country? I've asked this question for years and have yet to find a definitive answer. I have faced this debate through numerous public forums, including social media, as well as in my personal life. I have an opinion, yet due to my gender and middle of the road conservative views, I am dismissed. The debate over abortion extends further than our government's role in our private lives, but questions our individual morality and ultimately our freedom. Abortion is an important debate symbolizing our collective approach to a deeply personal matter. While in many circumstances I would consider abortion the one act that makes us barbaric and inhumane, however, as Guzman suggests, that curiosity is a serious thing, I have indeed taken a different approach when breaching this subject. To simply label abortion as wrong is in fact wrong. The modern debate found its origins with the 1973 Supreme Court decision, Roe v. Wade, protecting a woman's right to choose an abortion under the right to privacy. However, in June 2022, that ruling was overturned, thus ending nearly 50 years of federally protective rights for women to seek an abortion and returning authority to the states to regulate. The division within our country at the time of Roe v. Wade gave rise to two main groups, pro-life and pro-choice, which forever changed the political landscape. The choice to undergo this procedure has had a profound effect on relationships, families, and the countless communities they are performed. The stigma and complex emotional toll this decision has had has often prevented supportive and meaningful conversations from taking place. The debate field is complex and multifaceted, creating isolation and emotional conflict on a widening scale. Like many men in our modern era, I have an opinion and would debate others from a moral standpoint, giving little regard to those that face a more tortured battle than just hurt feelings. I am a conservative, white Christian male, the most despised of all demographics, and for good reason. Instead of living through the many lessons taught in the Bible, such as showing love, compassion, and empathy, I would in turn show the opposite, without giving little thought to the individual wanting and needing to be heard. I learned this lesson through personal experience and witnessing the downward spiral of a once bright and intelligent young woman. Some would call it pride, and yet others would call it religious zeal. After years of hollow debates and conflict, I would call it a waste of time at the expense of bridging the gap in healing. Creating and cultivating an empathetic approach to such a debated issue would have served a higher purpose and fostered a more desirable outcome. However, I am human and I make mistakes even at the sake of relationships with others. The debate over abortion is personal to millions of women in this country, as well as to the men who either support them in their decision or undergo the procedure or chastise them in the name of God. Who is in the right is beyond my own comprehension, but I am blessed to have each of my children and their differing views on this matter. As I looked through our topic options for this essay, abortion stood out as a highlighted beacon, wrought with regret and despair. As a young man, I met and married the mother of my oldest daughter. However, the decision to unite in matrimony was based on an unplanned pregnancy that forever changed both of our lives. My limited understanding of life at that time prevented me from understanding the lasting effect what the pregnancy would have. Although a conversation with my former wife is not possible, a candid conversation with my daughter in our diametrically opposing viewpoints has brought healing and understanding long overdue. I will reiterate that our relationship has been tumultuous and borderline dysfunctional, but with the arrival of her first child, our standoff has reached a peaceful transition. While driving for our recent holiday visit, I was overwhelmed with anxiety and unclear of how to approach the topic we agreed to discuss. For years, we clashed on hot topics such as climate, foreign policy, political figures, and immigration. I look at numbers and evidence. I research topics and issues that interest me. She searches social media or quotes radical leftist pundits mixed with emotional fervor. With that being said, I commend her passion and intensity, as I am equally passionate in my views. As I wrote a note after this, I wrote that I was going to document our conversation and then follow up with what I gained from the conversation, and then summarize uh, the need to be curious about others' viewpoints and find out what they think the way that, or find out why they think the way they do. It's a very complicated issue. It's not meant to offend anyone. It's not meant um, to isolate. It's more for open discussion. I mean, that's the reason that we're reading or have read the majority of this book. I thought that was probably one of the ones that are closest to home, in my opinion. But also, I thought that this would be something that uh, could help not only myself heal, but also my oldest daughter. Um, it, and I'll explain more of that in my paper, or the final paper. But that's as far as I got. I had a little over 2.5 pages, almost 3 pages, and like I said, this is one of those topics that it's very wide. There's a lot of avenues to take with this stuff. There's a lot of things that can be said, and obviously I don't have all the answers, so I'm definitely not an expert by any means. But again, it was just more or less a subject for that kind of hit home, and it was on the list. So I hope I don't offend anyone. I hope I don't upset anyone. But at the same time, that's the whole reason why we're in college, is to think critically, for us to analyze things and to try to understand, to get a bigger picture of things. And I think that that's probably the most important aspect of it. And as I've gotten older, I've softened my views on a lot of things, and I think that that's helped me to be able to connect with people. But I also think that it's also helped me understand better. Um, Mostly that, despite being a man, despite um, being a white male in America, that I do have a voice, and that I need to use that voice for what's right. I need to use that voice for good. And if that means just being quiet and listening, then I think that that's the most important thing. Because too often we just talk. Too often we just talk to hear ourselves talk, and instead of listening to others, we totally miss the point. And I think that that's really what's important. And I'm guilty, just like anybody else. Sometimes taking my viewpoints a little too far, but at the same time, I think listening more is more important. And trying to understand. And I think that breaching this subject definitely kind of helped me do that. So I hope everybody has a great rest of their week. It's been fun, and good luck with everything. Take care.